Good afternoon, everyone. Today is June 10th, 2025. It's 3 p.m. and this is a City of Prescott City Council voting meeting. So I'm calling this meeting to order, and Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any announcements or recognitions or introductions?
I sure do. Thank you, John Heine, wherever you are. Let's see. Prescott City Council will hold a second special meeting to discuss the 2025 general plan on Thursday, June 12th at 9:30 a.m. in the City Council chambers at 201 North Montezuma Street. Citizens can view the meeting in person or on the City of Prescott Facebook page, the City of Prescott YouTube channel, the city website, or on the public access channel on Sparklight TV. For the latest updates and more information, go to planprescott.com. Last week, the Utilities Division of Public Works held a ribbon cutting for the new water production facility and intermediate pump stations. The newly constructed water production facility is capable of delivering up to 17 million gallons of water per day and managing the pressures through an extended network of infrastructure that spans from our Chino well field to all city water customers in our network. The equipment that this facility replaced was originally built in the 1940s. Construction on these new additions to our infrastructure began in 2019 and came online May 27th of this year. Congratulations to our Public Works team for getting this all completed. In a continued commitment to accountability and transparency, we are excited to announce the launch of the OpenGov Transparency Portal. It's an interactive online tool that provides the public with easy access to the city's financial data. Users can explore current budgets, historical financials, and departmental expenditures, and even download the data in Excel format for further analysis or research. A dedicated Proposition 478 Public Safety Tax Initiative page is also available through the portal, offering a transparent summary of revenue received, expenditures, and any unspent funds. To watch a recording of today's presentation, go to the City of Prescott Facebook page or YouTube page or the city website. To explore the OpenGov Transparency Portal, visit the City of Prescott's website at www.prescott-az.gov, then navigate to Government, and then go to Data Transparency. And I also want to welcome a new staff member sitting out in the audience. I think she's still here. We're going to welcome Christy Diaz-Trahan, I hope I said that right, our new Parks and Recreation Director. Christy, can you stand up real quick? Thanks for coming. And Mayor, that's it.
Very well. We'll have an invocation now from Councilman Eric Moore, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance from Councilman Gambogi.
Our most merciful Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the privilege of gathering today, for the principles of freedom that we enjoy in this great nation. We're thankful for our local community of Prescott, and we feel so blessed to live here and to enjoy the atmosphere of this community and the peaceful nature of this community, that we live in a time of peace and security and freedom from fear. We pray, Heavenly Father, as we deliberate and as we meet together today, that Thou guide our thoughts and our feelings, and that we'll strive to make decisions that are in the best interest of our city and its citizens. Help us to understand the importance of each agenda item and to be thoughtful and reflective as we discuss these items. And we pray for these things in gratitude in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well. We'll start off with roll call, please.
Mayor Good,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Cantelmi,
Here.
Councilwoman Fruworth,
Here.
Councilman Gambogi,
I am here.
Councilman Grady,
Present.
Councilman Montoya,
Still here?
and Councilman Moore.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. I now have a proclamation I'm going to read for PTSD Awareness Month. Is anybody in the audience here to accept this? Come on up. First of all, I'll be the first to admit I personally have been diagnosed with PTSD. I spent over 200 days in ground combat as a combat infantryman in Vietnam. And PTSD wasn't even recognized as a diagnostic condition until 1983. So that was decades after I returned. And speaking to some of the people that I've met that were World War II veterans, this was an unknown condition. And a lot of times combat veterans from World War II and Korea would never discuss their experiences because they knew it would trigger some of these emotional responses. So they were very quiet and rarely shared that with other members of their family. I even had a chance to talk to my wife's uncle in the city of Medford, Massachusetts. And when I told him that I too was a combat veteran, then he shared with me some experiences that his family had never knew. They never knew because he was a little reluctant to be able to talk with them because of the emotional triggering that would happen. And I was so fortunate to be able to understand that and then be able to share it with the rest of my wife's family. So PTSD is a pretty significant condition. And this is a mayoral proclamation for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month of June 2025. Whereas post-traumatic stress disorder can occur after a person experiences trauma, including but not limited to stress of combat, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, bombings, accidents, and natural disasters affecting approximately 13 million adults in the United States annually. Whereas PTSD is associated with chemical changes in the body's hormonal system and automatic nervous system, and is characterized by symptoms including flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia, avoidance, hypervigilance, anxiety, and depression. And whereas the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, who proudly serve the nation and risk their lives to protect our freedom, deserve the investment of every possible resource to ensure their lasting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And whereas combat-related PTSD stress among our men and women in the armed forces is significantly pronounced, given that they are often exposed to highly traumatic events for weeks, months, and even years. Whereas between 10 and 30% of service members will develop PTSD within a year of leaving combat, while others may not develop symptoms until years later. And whereas despite its treatability, many cases of PTSD remain undiagnosed and untreated due to a lack of awareness of this condition and the persistent stigma associated with mental health conditions. And whereas raising awareness of this condition is necessary to remove this stigma and to encourage those suffering to seek proper and timely treatment that may save their lives. And whereas all citizens suffering from PTSD deserve our consideration, and those who are affected by PTSD from wounds received while protecting our freedom deserve our respect and special honor. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Prescott does hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder PTSD Awareness Month. To bring awareness to those with PTSD and to encourage people to reach out to their fellow citizens to provide support and remove the stigma associated with this disorder. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Prescott to be affixed this 10th day of June 2025. Yours truly, Phil Good, Mayor.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Jennifer Sigler, and I work as a clinical psychologist, and I'm the program manager for our PTSD clinical team at the Northern Arizona VA. I just wanted to say that thank you to the City of Prescott for doing this proclamation. And each June, our team aims to foster a deep understanding of the powerful impact that trauma can have on our veterans and service members. We aim to promote healing and to reinforce the message that recovery from post-traumatic stress is possible. And each year, the City of Prescott and all of the community members here have been really supportive in trying to help us achieve this mission. And I just wanted to let you guys know that it is working. We saw in 2024 a 43% increase in referrals to our post-traumatic stress clinical team. And so what that means is 43% more veterans from 2023 to 2024 actually reached out to get help. And that can be individual therapy, medication management, group therapy, or peer support services. So the work that we're doing, we host several events each year, and then work with the City of Prescott to raise awareness and work with public affairs at the VA and all of that to try to raise awareness. And it is decreasing the stigma, so more and more veterans are reaching out to get help. And the last thing I just wanted to share is we had our 4th annual PTSD Awareness Walk and Barbecue this past weekend, which the mayor's been part of for several years in the past. And it was hugely successful. We had 92 veterans sign in that they came and they brought their family members, so almost 150 people coming out to show support. And if anybody's interested, we do have one additional event. So this Thursday on June 12th, we have a PTSD Awareness Equine Therapy demonstration and barbecue held at the VA. It's at the Ramada across from the flagpole from 11 to 1300. We'll have a lot of great resources and things like that. So if anybody's available to learn a little bit more about PTSD or even just show support for our veterans and service members, it's a great place to do it. Thank you so much.
That's 1 o'clock. All right, we'll now move on to the open call to the public. Do we have any submissions? Deputy City Clerk?
We do. We have 2. The City of Prescott welcomes public engagement, and residents may comment and address council regarding matters not included on the posted agenda during the call to the public. Please complete the green speaker card and submit it to the city clerk prior to the meeting being convened. Speakers are limited to 4 minutes, and the call to the public will be limited to 40 minutes in total, with the following stipulations. Citizens will be limited to addressing council on the same topic only 4 times in total. If a topic has been addressed more than 5 times by different speakers, the mayor may limit future discussion on this topic. Topics of a primarily national concern may be limited at the discretion of the mayor. Our first speaker is Dr. Janice Creed.
Greetings to the City Council and everyone in this room. My name is Janice Creed. I am part of the MLK Committee I'm fairly new there, not nearly as knowledgeable with all the ins and outs and the backgrounds and all those things of my colleagues that are sitting with me today. But I wanted to come and speak to you about the non-discrimination statement that we would like to be included in the general plan. And the most recent one is stated as such. As such, it is intended that people of all ages, races, national origins, sexual orientations, genders, religions, and disabilities can make use of Prescott's land and amenities without facing discrimination or harassment. This goal is consistent with the plan's section in Prescott Vision. And so again, I know that things had changed over time. Things were added, things were taken out. I wasn't here for a lot of that, but I feel really, really passionate about this. I'm rather new to Prescott, but I did graduate from Prescott College, so I have some background there. And one of the things that impressed me when I first came here is that they called it everybody's hometown. That was just really impressive to me. And so now I'm looking at opposition to the statement, and I want to address that a little bit. The one opposition was the statement does not belong in a land use document. To that, I would say that the general plan is not just a land use document. It's also about the future that we wish to see. But the fact is that people are part of the land, and the land is part of the people. Statement on that this will lead to the potential loss of federal funding. Honestly, my gut reaction was to think, okay, if that's what we're worried about, maybe we should reconsider calling this everybody's hometown. We could, just ditch that pretense and admit that we're willing to act out of fear or whatever legitimate concerns that we have, or we could take the high road and build our resilience. Make it a point of pride that we work together and that we honor everyone, that we honor all people. United we stand, divided we fall. Third opposition, the public has made it known that the plan would be voted down if the non-discrimination statement is included, and I do know that some people believe that is true, but there are many of us who do not. And there are many people who are supporters of this language and made public comments over a good period of time. The thing about language is that it's a number one symbol of culture. It is actually vital that we have that language, any language. It tells us about who we are, who we want to be, what we're about. And in everyone's hometown, I think that's really, really important that we make this statement.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. I think of myself and the great Paul Wellstone, who said that we all do better when we all do better. If we're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, in everybody's hometown, I think that language is the least we can have in our general plan. Thank you very much for listening and for your time.
Next, we have Richard Thompson.
Richard Thompson, Prescott, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is both an announcement and an invitation. A group of us have put together a Flag Day celebration this Saturday, June 14th. It's unique because it's Flag Day, it's the 250th anniversary of the Army, and it's also President Trump's birthday. So we are celebrating all three of those events together. We're going to have speakers, we're going to have live music, we're going to have a giveaway for the kids. We even have you can have your picture taken with President Trump. We have a full-size cutout of President Trump on his birthday. So here's the invitation, and it's an invitation for the council to come and as patriotic citizens and enjoy that great day. Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Very good. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any member of council want to pull an item on the consent agenda? Councilwoman Furworth.
Yes, I'd like to pull item A.
Anyone else? Then I'll entertain a motion for the remaining items on consent.
Yes, I'd like to approve consent items A through I, excluding A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
Councilwoman Furworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I did speak with the city clerk about amending the notes for the special council session at the very end on page 10 of the package, just to clarify that it would follow the actual discussion that we had, that therefore the reason we recused ourselves is that we could not participate in a process in which we were biased. So we recused ourselves and left, and the clerk accepted that change because that was on the record. So just amending that section. And with that amendment, I move to now pass item A as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
Very well. We'll move to item 9A.
Liquor license, public hearing, and consideration for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license application from Annalise Marie Kavner, applicant for the Cove Cafe, location 1446 West Gurley Street. The application fees have been paid. The signs have been posted for the required 20 days. Staff has reviewed the application and determined they are in compliance, and no public comments have been received.
Is the applicant present? Come on up. Tell us a little bit about your new Cove Cafe.
Hello, my name is Annalise Kavner. I've lived in Prescott for about 23 years now. This is my first business. So far, we've been open a little bit over a year. And this has been a plan of mine for probably like 7 or 8 years, because I've bartended in the city of Prescott for about 11 years. We offer coffee, mocktails right now. We'll still offer mocktails, even with beer and wine and everything, for people that don't drink. We've got a pretty substantial food menu, and so far it's going pretty good.
You've been open and operating for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So this obviously allows you to do something other than mock cocktails.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we wish you good luck for your business, and maybe we'll have a chance to drop in, because I hadn't even heard about it. So.
Yeah, on the west side of town, kind of out of the way.
Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
I'll entertain another motion.
Mayor, I move to approve for that doesn't make sense. I move to approve the liquor license application number 343479 for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for the Cove Cafe, located at 1446 West Gurley Street.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
Very well. We'll move on to regular agenda item 10A.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding adoption of a resolution related to a citizen petition received by the council at the May 27th, 2025 voting meeting and submitted by Ralph Hess.
Well, I know the city charter requires us to take action on all petitions submitted appropriately under the terms of the city charter within 60 days. So I am moving to deny this petition today, so that falls within the 60-day period.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 6-1.
Very good. We'll move on to item 10B.
Discussion and consideration regarding possible adoption of resolution number 2025-1933, approving updates to the council rules of procedure.
And I can address this quickly. This was done in response to some of the comments and questions we've received about petitions. As you know, council is required to take action within 60 days on any petition received from a citizen. That's done properly. In this case, we've seen a number of petitions, some that council have wanted that approved and some that council has denied. And oftentimes it'll take a lot of staff time. So the thought was to bring to council quickly before a lot of staff time was invested in resources for either a quick denial or direction. So the way the rules of procedure is amended is that would go on to the consent agenda for denial. There has to be action. So there has to be some sort of noticed action. That's why we chose denial, because that would be the quick action. Then it allows any of one council member to pull it from consent agenda and have discussions and then directions. So in the case that council wants to approve it, staff time and resources are dedicated towards something, a direction that council wants and towards their wishes. This was our suggestion to kind of meet those needs, and council's free to approve it, deny it, or alter the way we have it drafted. And any questions that you might have. And I know that the clerk has very important business today, but we can address any questions regarding that.
Yeah, I think there's been a growing number of petition submissions to the council, and under the current rules of procedure, the staff has been assigned to look at those petitions, investigate them, possibly suggest corrections or other things, and then it comes back to the council for a decision, and it ends up being denied. So all that staff time ends up being wasted. So in this case, by altering these rules of procedure to default to a denial to begin with, then the council members who do want to look at it more in depth have an opportunity to pull that off of consent and then recommend that it be further analyzed. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. Yeah, the ones that council doesn't want, and it would be a unanimous 7 people don't want it because it stays on consent, it would be denied, and we don't devote resources towards it. But if one person pulls it, discussion, a denial can still be had, or we can go forward with direction that makes sense for what council wants.
Councilmember Forworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe that this council unanimously approved a 5-year strategic plan. And that's where we really do want to use our city staff resources to work on those kind of improvements and breakthrough that represent what the community broadly wants. So I appreciate the recommendation here, and I think it's a great addition to how we operate going forward.
Any other members of council want to comment, because my screen is not working? So you're going to have to go to the good old days when you raise your hand and say, Mr. Mayor. Very good. Councilman Moore?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate this change. I think, we've been elected by the public to make decisions on behalf of the city, and I feel like the petition process has kind of derailed our ability to function effectively as a mayor and council because we keep getting sidetracked by petitions that are being presented to us. And we need to stay on task. I really appreciate Councilwoman Furwith's comment about the strategic plan. We have many very pressing issues that we are trying to address. And these petitions are causing a problem in the sense, like the mayor said, it's redirecting resources and time and energy. So I'm very much in support of this change.
Councilman Grady?
I am as well, but nonetheless, this does allow for free speech because it enables just one person on this council to vote to take it off the consent agenda and have further discussions. So I don't think it's prohibiting, it's just providing more guidance. And Mayor, may I speak to the last motion on the resolution presented that we didn't have an opportunity to comment on, or is that over?
No, you may not.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
We have one from Ralph Hess.
Good afternoon. I'm Ralph Hess. I live in Prescott. I'm glad you put this on the agenda today because, in my view, it exposes your disdain for the citizens and the city charter that enables the citizens to bring questions before you, petitions before you, for you to vote on. This is going to, if you pass this, and I suspect you are because it sounds like you are, this will be the only matter that's ever on a consent agenda that defaults to a denial. So what you're saying is, if you as a petitioner, any of these citizens, bring a petition before you, your default position is, we're denying it. You're not going to even talk about it unless somebody says, take it off the consent agenda. So I appreciate the fact that you're demonstrating exactly how you feel about the citizenry. Thank you.
That's all.
Councilman Moore?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to state that I think, when we got elected, several of us got elected at the same time, Mayor, Brandon, and I. And one of the things that we instituted right away was restoring the call to the public and allowing the public, the citizenry, to have a voice in whatever was their concerns. And I think that is the appropriate way for issues to come to light without forcing the city council to expend time and resources and distract us from other pressing matters. Personally, I think the whole issue of the petitions has been abused and is causing more problems than it's solving problems. I think the call to the public is the better resolution to the situation to get feedback from citizenry.
And I would agree with you, Councilman Moore, and I would also add that if a petition is submitted and it's compellingly presented to the extent that one member of council agrees that it needs to be looked at, then we certainly have the opportunity to listen to the public and consider their concerns from that perspective.
And as a follow-up to your comment, I think there are many citizens who have a lot of concerns what happens in the city. And my feeling is if they're that concerned about what transpires in the city, then they should run for election and be on this dais and not try to govern by petition. That's not how we govern. We govern by the voice of the council representing citizens, not by a citizen dictating to the council what we will govern on.
Last time I checked, that was called representative government. And we do exist in a republic. Any other comments or questions from council? I'll entertain a motion here. Councilman Gambogi?
Your screen's not working. I would just ask the city manager to repeat his explanation of how this impacts staff.
I think it depends on the issue. Thank you for the question. So to this point, as we've gotten petitions, staff has been asked to research and understand each item before coming to the council for action. In some cases, that has been a few hours. In some cases, that has been hundreds of hours of time dedicated to preparing what the council would need to make a decision. This action doesn't avoid all of that, but it does say that we're waiting for council direction before staff starts to act.
So before you do a full-fledged investigation that you're asking the council, do you want us to do this?
Right. Before staff does anything, we prefer to have direction from council to do it.
Councilman Montoya?
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager, I have just to follow up on what you're outlining just now. In the cases where hundreds of hours of staff time have been devoted in the last time since you've been here, which I guess is a year, has that been an instance where there has already been direction of council to move forward with it? Or has that been an instance where you're preparing council for taking action? Or has it been both, I guess?
It's kind of both. Like there's preparatory work before we can get to the first council meeting. And then if the council is interested in the topic, then we continue to research and work.
Let me ask you this. We had a item earlier today that was a petition. How much staff time was invested in that item?
I haven't looked specifically, but maybe a few hours. This was not a lot of time on this one.
Compared to the open space initiative, I imagine, which was probably in the hundreds of hours?
Yeah, that one was significant.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I recommend we move to adopt Resolution 2025-1933.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
All right, we'll move on to item 10C.
Adoption of resolution number 2025-1926, approving the tentative budget for fiscal year 2026 and setting the public hearing for the final budget, expenditure limitation, and tax levy for the city of Prescott.
Thank you. I'm Lars Johnson, Deputy Finance Director, and here to present this item to you. As the clerk read, we are adopting resolution to set the official budget process in motion. And just have a few slides to go through. This is a reminder of all the steps that were taken to get to this point. A lot of staff time, a lot of department work, and again, thanks to everybody involved. Now we're at the tentative adoption. The budget for tentative adoption is the same as was presented during the budget workshop. Nothing has changed. The operating budget would be about $145 million, capital budget $148, with a $10 million contingency. Some of the big changes this year in operations were the implementation of the public safety tax initiative that impacted operations. We had the next few slides, I'll show you some personnel that are being recommended. That was also a big impact to the operations. We have a COLA and merit in the budget for staff. Maintenance budget increases and supplies and services. And then our capital, of course, is based on the timing of projects and how they're presented, but also is the public safety tax initiative in that number of this year, 24 million of that is related to the public safety tax initiative. So we wanted to put these slides up for you because there's one change from the workshop, and we decided not to change the budget, but we did need to add one additional position to the roster. That's a city judge. I'm sure you're all aware of the developments recently there. We'll be, I think, recruiting for a city judge, and so that needed to be added. So now we have new positions of 22 and a half.
You know, Lars, the council's pretty aware of it, but I'm pretty sure the public isn't. So could you describe why this had to be altered for our upcoming budget approval?
Yes. I guess I'll defer over to the city attorney.
Yeah, I can address that real quickly. This city judge is the chief of our city court within the city of Prescott. For the last decades, the city court has been consolidated with the county justice of the peace. But recently, given how busy both courts are, the county has made the decision to deconsolidate. And I think it actually will benefit both the city and the county in the long run. But with that, we no longer can have a contract position that we give just a partial payment to the city judge, and we'll have to fund a full-time city judge ourselves at that point.
That cleared up for everybody? Councilwoman Furworth.
I was just going to ask to move on because we just added a position but didn't add the dollars. And so there'll be some cost savings, I believe, from what I heard earlier today.
Yes, so I can tell you that the city judge position, well, the contract was for $89,000, I believe, and the full-time position will be $145 to $200, I believe. So it will be an increase, but it won't be, it won't be the cost of a full courthouse, and we expect to be able to recover revenues to increase as well. So,
okay, Lars, please proceed.
Yep, and just to verify, we do expect increased expenditures, but we are waiting for a better full picture before coming to council to move appropriations, so we can take from the contingency and reappropriate if needed in the middle of the year. So again, there's 14 positions related to the public safety tax, and then now 8.5 other areas. And this slide was updated as well from the budget workshop, since our total is now 610.5 full-time equivalents. And this shows the 20-year trend for the city. This was a follow-up from the workshop. It was requested that we come back and discuss how much surplus we're anticipating that we can allocate towards the pension liability this year. So before the end of June, we'll be depositing $836,000 to the Prescott Police Department's unfunded liability. They had a surplus available from mainly from personnel vacancies. So that will definitely help that 1.6 million liability. The fire department didn't have any specific that we could really rely on surplus. So we're not sending any money there, but I wanted to note that this liability was from June 30 of 2024. And after that, we've had $1 million contribution from the state. And then we're expecting one additional, so there'll be at least $2 million from the state that will help cover this liability in the fire department.
Yeah, just to be able to explain it to the public. I've had numerous conversations with the PSPRS board at the state, and they calculate approximately 2.7% increase per year in benefits. Well, we increased benefits a couple of years ago substantially above that. So we felt that paying our firefighters and our police officers at a little higher, more competitive rate would reduce the attrition and loss and be able to maintain and retain our officers. But because we did that, we created a larger unfunded liability that as long as we maintain those salaries and benefits, we should be able to kind of moderate any growth of unfunded liability. And then we also decided that each year when we budget for police and fire, if for some reason we have unexpended funds at the end of the year, we can take that and we can apply it to the unfunded liability till we get up to 100% again, and then we won't have to do any more of that. So again, it's I think it's a well thought out way of reducing the liability and getting us back to that 100% funding that we nearly reached at the end of the Proposition 443 funding that went forward. So I hope that explains it. Everybody clear? Okay, good.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. That was helpful. Some context that I missed. Okay. Lastly, we mentioned during the workshop that during this meeting, we'd like for council to let us know if there's anything on that approved expenditure list that you'd like us to take off. This will be for adoption at the next meeting on June 24th. So just at this time, if there's anything you'd like to pull.
Councilwoman Furworth.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I was going through everything in the AEL, and there's several big line items. And frankly, a lot of them have to do with what's in our strategic plan, big line items. And so I just think it's really important, especially with PSTI and some other things that we've got in here, you know, catching up on the quality of our infrastructure, both roads, water, sewer, et cetera, that the public get updates. And right now, the way of us getting updates is getting things on the agenda via an AEL. So I don't necessarily want to pull all this stuff so we can talk about it, but I'd like us to talk about it with the public in whether it be study sessions or whether it be meetings, that the big items, the big ticket items, you know, that we can find a way to get it onto the agenda so the public gets periodic updates about what we're doing when we're spending their money. And if you're amenable to that, city manager, you know, I'm amenable to not pulling anything right now, but I'd like us to be transparent with the public.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? Are we talking about agenda items or any sort of public update, press release, that kind of stuff?
I do know that a lot of people are not catching our press releases. They don't get the Daily Courier, and they're not reading Facebook. So they do spend their evenings watching these meetings to get caught up. So I don't know what the best way is, but there's a lot of big items that I want the public to understand how we're spending their money. And again, whether it be a topic of 20 minutes of a study session, so we're all clear, yes, this was on the strategic plan, yes, we're doing it, or whether it has to be a line item in a voting meeting as an AEL authorization. I don't know what the best way to do is. What makes it easiest for staff and clearest for the public when it's millions and millions of dollars that we're talking about here.
We can.
Councilman Moore.
I'm just wondering, with the new OpenGov, is that what you're going to say? I think that transparency will be accessible to anybody just by getting on the internet and checking out the city website.
If I can, Mayor. Yeah, and that was going to be my point. Obviously, the new website, the transparency website that we just looked at, all those projects will be there as they are spent, how much is spent so far this year. You know, as of last night, those things will update. We can look at making, you know, there was a view on the transparency side about expenditures and this and that. We can make one related to the AEL so that you can click on it and see the progress of the AEL, the budget of the AEL, and the progress and the individual projects.
Mayor, may I?
Councilwoman Furworth.
Thank you. I actually think I'm amenable to OpenGov, but I'd like to put it more in the stories because I'd like to have an update on where are we with the strategic plan, and here's the dollars flowing to it. And you could put a lot of words around it as compared to making people go digging for stuff. So whatever works best, but I just want to make sure that people see the money is flowing to the strategic priorities, and it's a lot of money that's flowing.
I think it's probably a multiple-pronged approach where we're doing multiple things. Certainly, twice a year we do a strategic plan update, and we can highlight things there. We can look for other opportunities as well, make sure that people have as many opportunities as possible if they're paying attention to see what's going on.
Well, I know that we have some very significant capital wishes that we would like to be able to find funding to pay for. Many people in the community that look at the budget numbers, they just see one number. For example, our proposed budget is about $304 million. A lot of people don't know that if we apply for a grant, there's no guarantee we're going to get it. But if we apply for it, we have to put it in the budget, because if we get it, it has to be in the budget for us to spend it. So we have some major grant proposals coming forward with the federal government, et cetera, that relate to extending and strengthening our runway at the airport, expanding some of the areas around the airport at the firefighting location, things like that. Those are very, very expensive projects. So we hope to be able to get the grants for that, and we have to put it in the budget in advance. And if it turns out we don't get the grant, then we don't spend it. But if we do get the grant, then we're allowed to spend it because we put it in the budget. So one of the things that City Manager Kimball and I have proposed down at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns, I've been a member of the Budget, Finance, and Economic Development Committee for, I believe, 6 years now. So that's one thing we propose to that committee, is to allow us within the structure of the state budget guidelines, is to be able to possibly amend our budget maybe mid-year. So if we find out that we've put a grant proposal into the budget and we find out we don't get it, then we could modify our budget to respond to that denial, and that way the budget will come down appropriately. And I think that would be better for the public to understand how our budget works. Because I know in the past I've heard from some people saying, you know, your budget's just so huge, what are you doing there? And they don't understand this grant budgeting process that we're required to do. Councilman Montoya?
Just to piggyback on that point a little bit, Mayor, I think the other part that people perhaps don't understand is the component of enterprise funds and how that factors into our budget too. I guess the one thing I'll just say though is that to a certain degree, if people want to get informed, I think based on what I saw in study session today with OpenGov, it is a super robust tool that will allow people to dial in. I had someone reach out to me this weekend and ask me in relation to the general plan how much federal funding we receive from grants, and I was able to answer within the dollar amount because of OpenGov. So I think it's a resource, and I think if anything, maybe at some point you could have incorporate it into Citizen Academy or something like that, and kind of get it out as a resource.
Good idea. Please proceed, Lars. I'm taking it far afield here.
No, this is good discussion and feedback, and I think it is powerful because, like you said, the $304 million, it's hard to comprehend, but with OpenGov, you can sit in the comfort of your living room and dig in and hopefully understand a little better what's all involved. So it sounds like we're good with the approved expenditure list? Okay. The last thing to discuss is what's next. upcoming steps. And again, today's resolution, what it does is adopts the maximum budget for next year under current guidelines. You can reduce from the tentative to the final, but today's number of 303 million is the maximum. And then it sets the official notice going out to the public in the newspaper and on the websites. And we'll have a public hearing at the next budget meeting on the 24th for the budget, our home rule, alternative expenditure limit, and our property tax levy. And with that, I'm finished with my presentation.
Any further questions or concerns? Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not.
Yeah, we can talk about $303 million, but we have no public comment. But if we talk about something that costs like $8,000, people are lined up for it. But that's
Mayor,
very understandable. Mayor Pro Tem, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say I'll make a move to adopt.
Please do.
Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 2025-1926.
Well, I'll second that motion. Please vote.
Passes 7-0.
Well, I think that ends our agenda today. So I'll close our meeting with a quote from what I understand now is the neighbor of one of my great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers, Thomas Jefferson. The care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government.